and all that. Does anyone have any questions on any of that? No? All right. So now we're going to talk, now that I have my clean blending brush that's slightly fluffy, I want to show you some different motions for blending. And sometimes it comes down to personal preference, honestly. The two main things are these little circles or a sweeping motion back and forth. This type of motion is going to work product and diffuse it kind of in one spot. I use this motion, this little circular motion, when I'm typically working two colors together to have a darker color gradually work into something that is lighter. So say I have something like this in my crease and I want to work one of those deeper shades into it, I will use something like this really small circular motion. If I'm blending the edge of something, I'm gonna do more of this back and forth motion. And it can be done under the eye as well, if I'm working two colors together versus blending an edge and softening an edge. This is a really great motion if you're just using one color. Say I wanna just do a sweep of color over the lid, I'll get it on, and then I take a minute with a clean brush and just soften that edge and blend it, and then kind of go outward and upward. So those are kind of the two motions that we work with generally when it comes to blending shadows. So I'm gonna start with number 26, One Night Stand, my fave, and I'm gonna tap it off. These shadows are super duper pigmented. When you're making a shadow, a lot of times companies, to make them less expensive, and they try and make them like so crazy durable for shipping, but most of the time it's to make them cheaper. They put a lot of fillers and additional binders in them as opposed to actual pigment. And you will find a lot of times colors look one way in a palette, and then when you put them on, I mean, drop something in the chat if you've ever gotten a palette and then went to use it and you went and put it on your skin and you felt like it didn't even do anything. Or you had to work so hard to make it look like what was in that palette. Like, you should not have to work to make your makeup work. And that is the difference with pro makeup, is that it just works. Like, when I'm getting someone ready, I have 5 seconds to get them ready. I don't have time to be like, this is gonna happen in any minute now. It's literally like, it just absolutely works. So that being said, you gotta be careful not to get too excited when you are loading your brush. So that's what this is called. When you're getting product on your brush, it's called loading the brush. What's important is that you are intentional where you actually put the product on your brush. I see people all the time go into their product this way, but then they go to like blend sideways. Does that make sense? And your product is on the top of your brush. So when you are loading your brush, be aware of kind of what you're gonna do and make sure you're putting the product on the right part of the brush. I mean, it's really funny, but it happens quite a bit because it's muscle memory. It's just motion. We have a motion we typically do when we apply, and we have a motion that when we put something on the brush, and they're not always, you know, gonna work well together. So just tap, tap, and get excess off. You can always add more. And that is really my philosophy, is that some people get if you're doing really dramatic looks, you really just pack it on and then you blend, 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 blend. But that's not typically real life makeup. So I am going to place the product that I have here, and I'm going to place it, and I'm just lightly pressing and tapping that product on where I want it on. And I'll do a whole video on placement because that's really important, but I don't want to get distracted on that tangent. I really want to focus on the blending technique for this video. So, and I'm getting a little bit more, and I'm just going to tap it on. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that little circular blending motion. See, I'm working that one color. I'm not trying to move it a ton. I'm really just trying to work it and soften it in that one spot. And then as I move it back and forth, then I'm transitioning to this motion. And then I'm just kind of sweeping it outward and upward. And you can actually see even the difference between my two eyes now just with that one action, that one color. I've added that depth and definition. It's really softly blended. super fast. And a lot of times if I'm only doing one thing, this is the color that I go for. I choose my mid-tone matte that I love for me. And I just make sure I kind of press it on there, do my swirly blending, a little back and forth, and then I finish with this outward and upward because, again, I'll talk about it in a placement video, but that's really important, the direction that we blend. When we're blending, we're moving product. So we want to be intentional about how we move that product. If I'm doing this too much, who does this? I'm going to show you this motion. Who pushes and does this when they put on eyeshadow? Don't do that. You know why? All you're doing is dragging this downward here. One of the reasons I love these happy sponges, they are the reason they're great is they don't eat product and they're the perfect density and they have these great edges on the wedge. And I had my best friend, I literally made her get wedges, and when she started learning, I told her, put your wedge here. And when you're blending, this is your barrier. So you can't pull down too far here because what ends up happening is we drag it down and it actually drags our eyes down. So when we're blending, just be aware that you want to create this lifted motion. So I don't go past a certain point. And know your limitations. I love easy little tools. You know, you could use this short edge and just be like, okay, I have a bad habit of dragging my liner down, dragging my shadow down. I'm going to create a little barrier. So when I do my little placement and I do my little blend, my back and forth, I just follow this outward and upward so I don't hold down. So this is one of my favorite little motions to finish a blend, is just making sure that I'm doing that lift. Now, same thing on the bottom. I could use a different brush, but I'm actually intentionally just going to use this because I love a good amount of shadow. So now I'm blending back and forth here, and I'm just doing this nice back and forth motion. And I'm going to connect the bottom to the top and connect it that way. Now, I know some of you on here have had lessons from me. Some of you have seen my videos. For an extra bonus point, who wants to unmute themselves or drop in the chat why we connect the bottom to the top and not the top down to the bottom? For an extra bonus point in the giveaway, who can answer that question? Why we connect the bottom to the top, not the top to the bottom? I'm going to do a 5 count. If someone doesn't speak up, I'm going to tell you. Deidre, you should.
You want to lift the eye? You want to lift the eye?
Yes, we want to lift the eye. Who said that?
Carol.
Yay! Kelly, give her a point. Give Carol an extra point. When we connect the top to the bottom, again, we're dragging down, and I've done this with darker colors, and it's like down and over. See how far down I go for that? But if I connect the bottom to the top, we are creating that lift. We're controlling the motion, and we're kind of removing that accidental room for error. Does that make sense? So we do that nice blend, and then we connect the bottom to the top, and then we just kind of, again, do that little blend. Now, this is just one color I've done. I'm going to quickly do the other side in real time as I would do it. Getting ready. Tap, tap, tap. Let's do a little circular motion, back and forth, lift. If I want a little more, I just do that again, and then I'll do the bottom. Super fast like that. Now I have one color on. I'm going to work a darker color into this lighter color. This is a blending technique that I think people kind of have a challenge with. So I'm going to actually do it with a decently dark, deep shade. I'm going to use number 8 brownie points. Normally during the day I would use this, but I want to use a deeper shade just so you can see what I'm doing. Again, I'm going to go into this product. I could choose a smaller brush if I wanted to. I love these little guys. We have these brushes, brush number 20, that have a top like this. These came in one of our other palettes. Sometimes I will do that to place it, but I want to show you how you cannot be scared of a deeper color, like something like brownie points, when you are adding a little bit of depth. Again, you choose how much product you are grabbing. If you're using too much product and too big of a brush, you're going to have too much product in too big of a space. It's very literal. And a lot of times when people have these issues, I'm like, why are you using that brush? That brush is huge. You know, or it's too fluffy, it's not gonna do anything. But I really absolutely love this blending brush. This one is number 10. I feel like it's a really great size. I'm very gently going into number 8 brownie points and tapping it off. I have a very light amount on here. I'm gonna try and look into my mirror, not my phone, if I can, but I don't know if that's gonna work. And I'm just lightly tapping that color, and I'm doing this little circular motion. Just like this, and I'm actually working that brown into that softer brown that I started with. Now, do you see what that did automatically? Can you see that depth? This is like a very small wash of color, but these are so pigmented that I needed like a baby amount. And I just gently tapped it and then did a nice blend right where I put it. I'm not trying to like go over the whole area where I applied that lighter color. Again, we want a gradation of color. So it's like a tap, 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 and a really soft blend. Now I can do that motion again in a smaller area. So I'm essentially repeating the motion that I did the first time, but I'm repeating it in a smaller area. And I'm really being thoughtful to make sure that I'm working that color right into a smaller area right there. Does that make sense? Can you guys see how that translates? So I'm gonna do it on the other side. Super baby light amount on there. Work it into that one spot and then decide, did I get enough? Did I like, and this is kind of the test too. I have a tendency to go light on my first side and then I put like way more on the second side. And I'm like, well, now I gotta balance it out and put more on this side again. So it's kind of also when you blend a little bit of that just to the check. Blend, blend, blend that deeper shade right into one spot. I'm gonna work it in a little bit and then just pull it outward like that. Might wanna put a little more on this side. Just a little pat and press, and that one doesn't actually need very much of a blend. But it's, the brush choice is super important and really controlling and maintaining control of the motion in a thoughtful way. Like you're not scrubbing back and forth. Like this is a very deliberate little circle. And I actually kind of go one way and then I go back the other. Then I go one way and then I go back the other. Because that compensates for the different motion. And I keep it in a nice small area. So now I'm going to take my thin liner brush and I'm going to take that deeper brown and I'm going to actually just kind of press it really gently under my eye here. Just like that. It's a little wider here. And I'm going to, with the same brush, very gently press this at my lash line here. And I'm just applying, I'm not trying to blend. I'm just doing a really light pressing of that. And then I'm gonna blend it in. I'm gonna take that same blending brush, or I could transition to one of the pencil brushes if I was really working something that had more texture. But again, I'm using shadows. They don't have that rich, that texture like a liner would. So I wanna keep using a nice soft fluffy brush. And again, I'm using a really soft circular motion under my eye. And then I'm going to do this nice back and forth motion so it diffuses towards the inner corner of my eye. See how I didn't place the product all the way there? Is everyone having an issue with the audio? Maria said that there's an audio issue.
It's a little garbled, yeah.
Let me see if my headset will work. I have to be
While Stephanie is doing that, I see that we have a couple of people as their name is iPhone, and I know one of them is Jody. Is there a way for you guys to rename yourself so you can be identified? I want to make sure everyone gets their points for the giveaway, which is participation points. So I want to make sure that I'm tallying those up correctly. Also, I think there should be extra points if people are showing their sweet faces.
That's true. Is this better? Is this audio better with my headset in?
Much better, yes.
Okay, sorry about that. So I'm just gonna blend inward. So this is another really important blending tip. You don't place the product everywhere you want it to end up. You place it in a much smaller area and then you work it towards where you want it to go. So that's why when I place that deeper liner on the bottom, first of all, I had that soft mid-tone that I worked all the way around the eye. So I had a color for that deeper shade to work into. So I'm not just working that deep shade into my skin, I'm working it into that other color. And then I only brought it to about here, but I'm blending it all the way to here. And I'm blending it downward as well. And that's one of the biggest mistakes I see people make is they're placing a product in this big area when they really want to blend it to that area. And so we always start in a smaller space because again, we can always add more, like that's fine. And so I started again with that little motion here, little circles. Then I did this back and forth motion to bring it inward. And now I'm gonna do it up this way and connect it to the top. And can you see how nice and blended those are together? And you see that gradation of color and you see that depth that it created on my eye. So gonna back and forth blend. So now this step that I take is I'm just doing kind of a blending check. I'm deciding, did I add enough depth? How are these working together? And how is this edge right up here? And I decide if I want to go in and do an additional blend. So now I'm going to go in and I'm going to grab Sweet Dreams, which is the super fun highlighter that you can literally use all over. And I am going to place it up underneath my brow here in a really gentle motion. Again, I'm not applying it like this. I'm doing a really gentle, super soft little motion, and it's like I'm pulling it along my brow as I'm tapping it. That's actually a blending motion because I don't want to pack it on. I don't want like this high wattage shine under my brow, and I don't want to drag it like this. I just want to do this really gentle motion, and I'm using this angled brush. Then I'm going to do that same thing right on the inner corner of my eye, that little gentle, soft blend. And I'm going to work this onto my lid right here and see how that just added a nice pop of light. And I'm leaving this eye not done for time, but also so you guys can see the difference these little motions and steps make as I'm doing my makeup. So now that I'm here and I added that light in, I'm going to go back in either with a totally clean brush and just really smooth these two together. And I'm going to blend that first color into that highlight a little bit. If I feel like it's not enough, I'll do another quick load of the brush and another application and just put a little more there. It just kind of depends on the look that I'm going for. Then I'm gonna finish with my liner. Now, why I love this so much is I love lining with both the black and the brown. What I do when I do that, now you could use a gel liner, you could use the liquid liner, and I will do a graphic for this. So you guys will have something to reference. I'm gonna put together a graphic for this for sure. But I love this little angled brush with my time setter spray. And I'm gonna spray my brush. And then I'm going to go in to the edge of my product. When you are using a damp brush, I don't like going into the center of the product. I always get it into the edge. I'm gonna tap it off. And if you feel like you're gonna have a shenanigan and you don't know how much product you got on, again, these wedges are great to catch fallout if you feel like it could be a shenanigan. But what I'm just gonna do is I'm going to stamp and press this black along my lash line. And again, I'm doing this stamp and pull, stamp, and I have to do it with my eyes open because I literally can't see out of one of my eyes. I'm so blind. So you can close your eye If I close one of my eyes, I can't see anything. So I have to have both my eyes open. But if you've noticed, have I closed my eyes really to do any of this? Or have I had my eyes open? One of the biggest mistakes people make is they try and do too much of this with their eyes closed. Our eyes are a different shape and actually have a different texture with them closed. That's different than this. I want to see exactly where I'm placing this product. I want to see where it's going to go. I want to see where it's going when I'm blending it. I could do like the best job ever with an eye closed, whether I'm doing it on myself or someone else. That doesn't matter. They're not walking around all day with their eyes closed. You know, our eyes are open. So liner's an interesting thing too, because when we close our eyes, it actually scrunches our lash line and it creates ripples along our lash line. But when our eyes open, it's actually much smoother. So if you feel like you struggle with skipping or dragging or spacing where you feel like you can see skin between your lashes and your liner, really practice doing it with your eyes open at least a little bit, because what it will do is it actually helps manage the texture along your lash line with your lashes. Does that make sense? Yeah. And that's why I love using shadow. Shadow's the most forgiving liner, and it blends really easily as you apply it. And when you use a setting spray, it really makes a paint and it stays, like it just stays. So that's why I do this. And this motion is this stamp and pull, and it just gets that edge nice and soft. And if I wanted to, I could do this little depending on how dramatic, I can just take what's left on it. I can actually, if I wanted to really diffuse it, I love this blending motion, this pull upward to soften the upper part of that line. And then I already have mascara. So Deidre, yeah, this is a great point. For someone that has a hooded eye, your liner is like the star of the show. And so blending is really important, because this first step that I did, you absolutely have to do your makeup with your eyes open, because that first blend, you're creating that depth. And I'll talk about that when I do a placement video, but blending is important. You just do it right on top of that hooded portion, right on top of it, because that's a big mistake people make too, because when they have a more hooded eye, this eye for me is much heavier than this one too. And so I have much more overlap on this side. I don't really have any here. So we just go right on top of that skin, and you can see where the placement is, and you can get a way better blend when your eyes are actually open. So when you're doing liner is very important when you have a hooded eye, because you really want to get it in there and you just blend it upwards. You don't need to have a super defined line. You just get it on, and then you just blend it upwards and blend it right into that first color. So it's almost like you can do like a really soft, almost smoky eye every time, because when you open your eye, that space that you see on the lid, you're going to have perfect liner. But I'll go over that too in a placement video. But no, just for blending, it is really important, no matter what your eye shape is, when you're doing that with your eye open, because you see where that color is going. Everybody has a different eye shape, and we really want to optimize the effect of our makeup. And so blending is really important. So now I'm going to do that final blend like I did before. I'm just checking. I'm checking where everything is. I'm deciding if I want more depth. And what I'll say too is, once you get mascara on, like, a look is totally different without mascara and with mascara, or lashes, or whatever you're doing. And so don't do a final decision on if you want to do additional blending, if you want to add a little more, until you actually put mascara on. I started with mascara on, but once you put on mascara, you decide, okay, because sometimes it really takes it down. Like, we feel like we have a ton of makeup on, and then we put on mascara and we're like, oh, that's actually not that much. And we decide, okay, now that I got my lashes going, do I need to do more of a blend? Do I need to add more depth? You know, do I want to put a little more here, place a little more, and blend it in a little bit more? But getting that mascara on is really where you do those final steps and decide, like, where do I want to tweak? Where do I want to adjust? So, summary, how you prep your lid is very important. I love just a very thin veil of creamy concealer on the lid to make sure that it helps the product move, but it doesn't grab it too much. Have clean brushes. Don't try and do your whole look with one brush. And even if you keep a towel handy, I love getting black salon towels on Amazon. You start by just, you know, you're not going to wash your brushes every single time you do your own makeup, but you can start by really taking off the excess. And don't try and do something with like the light highlight that I did right after you tried to do a deep brown like this. Really kind of, I keep my brushes in categories. Like same thing too with texture. Like this is a shimmer. I've been using light shimmers on this one because even if I try and clean it on my towel, you're going to have some shimmers in there. So if I tried to do something like deep and matte, it's going to mess up the blend. It's going to mess up the effect potentially. So I love getting black salon towels on Amazon. Start by, you know, cleaning your brushes. You can even do it midway, and have a variety of shapes and sizes and densities that are going to do what you want them to do. But really my must-haves are like a pointed blending brush, a liner brush, an angled liner brush preferably. And then I absolutely love this angled eyeshadow brush too. And something like this little brush number 20. It's a black one. I have them all over the place. Where are those? I have so many brushes. I have literally probably 500 brushes in this room right now. It's crazy. But different shapes, different sizes, so you can control the application, place where you want to place, and move it how you want to move it. Yeah, I use the black towels because I don't want a towel with makeup all over it that I can see. It makes me feel better when it's there, but I don't know it's there. So all right, so does anyone have any questions for me? That is kind of the summary, and this takes practice. This really does take practice. Practice those motions, those back and forth, those little steps, those little strokes, and really play in the different products and textures that you have to see what works together. See, maybe like you don't have that mid-tone matte. You thought you had something great, but everything you have is too dark or too light. Maybe you have a ton of shimmers and you've realized you need to add more matte shades to your collection. Because notice that most of what I was using was matte. When you're learning to blend, sticking with those matte shades through here makes a very big difference, because shimmer reflects light. So depending on the angle and depending on the amount of light, it's actually going to read differently. And it's going to be hard to gauge how good of a job you did blending. So when you're learning how to blend, sticking with those matte shades is really important. And you really can't go wrong with a solid essentials palette like this, something that has those mid-tones, something a little deeper at that depth. You really cannot go wrong with something like this. And if you're afraid of one color, or maybe you already have a color, we can always swap something out. So a matte for day wear, that depends on the person. I love number 26. Some of my other favorites are Blush Hour. It's number 37. It's a nice, very soft pinky shade. Another one that I love is number 33, Coral of the Story. It has a little bit more of that warmth to it, but it's still very soft. It's not punchy. I love those two, especially for daytime when I maybe want to have a little more color and I'm not doing as much of a look. Those are two of my favorites. The shimmer for evening, I am loving our new foils. So if you look in the eyeshadows, they will have a number, a name, and a letter next to the number. So anything that has an M is a matte, anything that has an S is a shimmer, and anything that has an F is a foil. A foil is a much more dense type of shimmer. I prefer to use them wet. When you use them dry, they're actually very sheer. When you use them wet, they go very, very dense. So they're super fun to play with. So for like an evening shimmer, I love a foil. You can even use one color on your lid and with the setting spray, or use it wet. And then you do a really great circular blend just along the edge, and then you're back and forth, pull it upward, one color, done. So I love those foils. For something for evening, or for something where you just want one color out the door, those are really fun, but I like playing with those. when you're blending by themselves, because like I said, a shimmer and a matte are gonna maybe blend differently depending on the texture. And when you're really working on technique, and especially that technique of working two colors together, play with those mattes, because then you're gonna get a better gauge on like how you're actually doing and where you need to troubleshoot. And sometimes it's not your motion, sometimes it's a different brush. Sometimes maybe it's just the two colors you don't feel like are working well together too. Notice I use both these shades are warm. So, but it just takes playing in it and trying and seeing what works for you and what you like.
Stephanie, somebody asked what brush comes with the 6 palette kit.
It is a mystery. It will be an eyeshadow brush. They're all, we have different ones that are all $18. So they are the nicer, bigger eyeshadow brushes. We started, I believe, with the angled brush, and they're, you know, they may have transition. It's either going to be this one, and I can't remember if it's this one or this one, but you get one is like my favorite.
The shorter one. It's the angle, it's the long, floofy
okay,
one.
Cool. Awesome.
And then it's this one. And this one's like a $20 one.
Yeah, so, no, they're awesome. So we don't know which one it is, but you do get a really awesome eyeshadow brush.
So if people are placing an order for brushes and shadows, and they don't want to double up or miss out, will Lime Life look and see what they ordered and put one in that they didn't buy? Or could it potentially double up, which is fine because you can always use 2 brushes, but just so that they know. Do you know?
I don't know. We could maybe check tomorrow and see if we can get an answer from the warehouse. It's usually just as easy as us asking and saying, like, do we know which brush it is this week, this last day? Because tomorrow's the last day to get it. We just can ask. And usually we can get a pretty straightforward answer. I would say getting a double up on any of those is actually a good thing. Because some of them I have literally multiple of them, because again, I like having a clean brush on hand, and I don't want muddy brushes. You'll hear me say that a lot. When you muddy your brushes, it's gonna kind of be a disaster. So I do like having enough, but I'm gonna go overboard, I'm not gonna lie. I have a lot. Do we have any other questions? And should we put Kelly Ann on the task of tallying up points for our giveaway? And you can still ask questions. Oh, and this is something really cool I wanted to share with you all. So we have this new capability, and I've been bugging some of my customers personally so I could learn how to do this. For anybody that has an account, the beauty guide that you work with should be able to help you add stuff to your account. Sometimes, especially for palette building, if you want to customize something, it can be a little intimidating to put it together yourself. You want to make sure you have the right stuff. Maybe you need suggestions. So now we have the ability to help on our end create those and actually add it to your account so it is sitting there waiting for you. I have found that and recognize that it can be intimidating. We have a ton of eyeshadows that we didn't have before. And so I have been loving like putting them together, getting them set in my customer's cart so everything is right there, and they can just log in. Everything is happy in their shopping cart, and they can just check out and it's all good to go. Because when you put together the palettes, it just has the number. And so that can be a little scary for people. But that's a fun thing for us to do. So bug your beauty guide and make her put stuff in your cart so she can learn how to do it. Because I'm trying to encourage everyone to learn how to do it. So make sure you bug your beauty guide and say, hey, can you build a cart for me? Because I want you to learn how to do this. Stephanie said so. Yeah, Deidre, bug me. Because I want to put stuff in your shopping cart. Okay. All right. Kelly, are you getting that giveaway list going?
One sec. 1, 2.
So how does this timing work for everybody? For me, Sunday evenings are great but my kids are a little bit older. I can get them like settled and do like the Sunday night, beauty sessions. I love your suggestions too. Like we do this for you all. And so for everyone on this call, like let us know what you want to learn. Let us know when you're working on stuff, like what is a specific topic that we can focus on? Give us your suggestions. Because like our job is to be of service to you all. So we want to focus on the stuff that you want to learn about. Anything makeup, skincare, tools, tips, tricks, any of that, let us know what you want to learn, and we'll integrate that into the schedule. But it will be the same Zoom link every single week. Unless something happens, I would let people know. But same time as of right now. So you can count on the All-Star Beauty sessions happening and hopping on and inviting your friends. Remember too, we have this really, really cool customer rewards and referral program. So when you log into your account, now under your account, there's a little tab that says LimeLifer, and you can see where you are in the program. You can earn free shipping, you can earn gifts and prizes, you can earn points towards free product, but you have your own link now. So you actually have your own link that you can share. So if someone says, oh my gosh, your lashes look so great, what mascara is that? You can say, this is my new waterproof Lime Life mascara. It changed my life. I have a really great link for you. You can just hop right on and get it. And then when they get stuff, you get points and stars and all sorts of cool stuff. So it's a total win-win. So feel free to invite your friends to these also, and then you can share your Lime Lifer link and everyone can learn and get free stuff. And we all love free stuff. And we're gonna be doing giveaways every single week. So, because who doesn't like free stuff? We like free stuff. How are we doing, Cal?
We're doing so good.
We're doing good. I like that.
I'm cutting it off. Any comments after this don't count. You guys had me working my tail off this whole time. Okay.
Kelly's gonna think twice before saying yes when I ask her to do something.
No, it's fine. I don't mind. Okay. So let me just delete that and enter this. You guys, we have lots of entries. So here's what I'm gonna do. Unpin.
I'm swiping through. I love seeing so many people on here.
Yeah.
I've just been
How
staring
fun,
at my
huh?
own silly face this whole time, pretty much.
Okay, guys, let me know if you can see.
Are we frozen?
I think she froze.
It's trying. Oh, there we go.
There it is.
Yay. That's so fun. It's toying with our emotions right now, is what it's doing. Did it stop? Yay! Amber, where are you at? Is Amber on the call still? Yay! Okay, Amber, I need to know how to send you stuff for winning. So who invited you to the call today, Amber? Can you drop that in the comments? Do they know how to get a hold of me so I can get your shipping address and send you a prize for winning? You can drop it in the comments if you want. Or
I actually didn't realize I was on mute that entire time.
You silly goose.
And I went ahead and I was actually the one that invited her. So I'm super excited.
So yeah, we'll know how to get the details and we will send you your prize. So I have one more challenge for Kelly because I made her work so hard. I just wanted to have Kelly just really quickly share how she came to Lime Life, because this is professional makeup and really amazing botanical skincare, but you might be surprised that most of the people that are here with Lime Life are not pro artists. I have a team of about 50 incredible women that are split. I think it used to be half and half, but I would say that probably 2/3 of my team are not pro artists. They're not estheticians. They're amazing women that just loved a product and were sharing it so much. I was like, why aren't you doing this too? Because you're doing my job for me and you could do your job for you, basically. So Kelly, do you want to take a minute and just share how you came to Lime Life and anything else you want to share in there?
I am more than happy to. So I started Lime Life. I joined under Stephanie because she and I went to high school together, and I've always just loved, everything she posted about makeup and all things beauty. And I just loved it, right? So she started selling Lime Life because it was already something that she had in her kit. And she invited me into her group and she sent me some samples. And I loved what it did to my skin. I loved how it felt. I loved that it was natural. Being a cancer survivor, having clean, natural, good products is really, really important to me. And knowing that this whole skincare line stemmed from Michelle's, one of her dearest friends, who passed away from breast cancer, and her promise to her that she would have a responsible skincare line. That was just so important to me. I've never been in the beauty industry before. Prior to this, I had a corporate job for over 5 years that I loved, and I was a stay-at-home mom prior to that for 8 years, and I love that. I mean, I love it all. But this has turned my whole life upside down in the best possible way. It's helped me clear up some massive skin issues. I had really bad acne. I'm very acne prone, and it really has transformed my skin. And then just having the community of women and being able to work my own hours and learn from the professionals or the more tenured beauty guides has been amazing. And I love it. I'm just a student of Lime Life, and I just love it.
Yay.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, no, that was great. And if anybody has any questions about what it's like being a beauty guide, any other questions about the line or anything like that, feel free to ask us. I mean, I love talking about it, but I think people get sick of hearing from me. So every week I'm going to bug one of my teammates to kind of share like a little bit about their journey and why they love doing it. But if anyone has any questions too about what it's like to be a beauty guide or anything like that, that you are maybe nervous to ask, like we love answering those questions with zero expectations. So you can pop it in the chat now or reach out to your beauty guide, but I just think it's super fun. I get to play in makeup and skincare all day. And I will say that I love doing this type of thing as a pro artist because I love teaching. It's something that I've always been really passionate about, but like I teach stuff that works for me as a person. You know, I'm a mom of 3 boys. I have a crazy life, a crazy schedule. I don't spend a ton of time, but I still show up in those ways. When I'm on set, when I'm doing things, I have to look put together, but I don't spend a lot of time. So I teach in a way that I use these products as a real woman in the world, if that makes sense. So I always want this to be approachable and feel doable for absolutely everybody. So
if you can wash your face, you can do this business.
If you can wash your face, you can
very
do this.
literally.
Yeah. You can put on some mascara, you can do this. And what I always say is not everyone wears makeup, but everyone has skin. So, and I'm super passionate about teaching people to take care of themselves in those ways. And skincare is healthcare, and skincare is so important. So does anyone else have anything they want to share or add or hop in? We're here. You can drop a question in the comments if you like. And if not, we'll make sure that Amber gets her goodies. I'll find out what she wants. I have a couple options. I have this really cute Lime Life wine stopper, but not everyone drinks. I have some other things too. So I'm going to see what she wants because I don't want to send someone a wine stopper if that's not their jam. But they're really cute.
It's a really cute wine stopper.
They're really cute.
This was so much fun.
Yay! Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. Please come visit us on Sunday evenings. Please invite your friends. Let us know what you want to talk about, what you want to learn about. I love suggestions and feedback. I will absolutely be working on a graphic for this with like steps because I'm super visual. I like sitting and taking it all in, but I need something to look at. So I totally get it. So I will put something like that together. It's probably going to look like a face chart with some steps on there. Does that sound good? Like a face chart that I worked on? We should do a
face chart workshop too. Remember that one we did?
Oh, that'll be fun. You know, I want to do one where we can send you guys samples ahead of time and we can all have like a little spa session together. Like I have a lot of really fun ideas. Yeah. So I will figure out a way to make sure everybody gets The graphic I put together, if it's not terrible, the first one might be terrible, but I'll work on it. You know, I'll figure it out. I'll make it good for you guys and useful. But I don't want to keep you all any longer. I hope you have a great night. I'll make sure to get this recording out there so it's shareable. I'm so sorry we forgot to start recording it the first part, but I think I covered those bases again later on. So thank you so much for coming to our All-Star Beauty session, and you all have a great evening. Bye.
Thank
Hi,
you,
everybody.
Stephanie.
Thank you all so much. This was so fun.
Thank you.